Good morning, everyone. I'm spending some time now with Tarik and doing the presentation, sort of a mini presentation of my work so far. Because of my context, which is a maximum security remand correctional environment, and I'm also part of an interprofessional team made up of psychologists, psychiatrists, sort of heads of sort of masters of social work, heads of social work departments, superintendents, mental health nurses, and psychotherapists, and so on and so forth. So I pondered about what I could do to help my context, because really I wanted this exercise, as I was encouraged at the beginning, I wanted this exercise to be something that would be useful and helpful to my interprofessional team. And which is why I've decided to do a research paper that could be examined and looked at, and we could explore it and develop it as time goes on. And the topic that I felt was really very needful in my context, because we are dealing with a population of inmates, 66% of whom have mental health difficulties and challenges. And I don't have the time now to talk about those complexities, but they shouldn't be in a maximum security prison. They should be in a hospital. But in Ontario, we don't have enough beds. And it's a complicated, the barriers are just so huge. I'm trying not to digress by those weighty concerns, and just to keep it focused on the project, which is what can this paper do to help the interprofessional team sort of be benefited or find some use for it as we continue to work together as a team to alleviate the addictions and mental health concerns of those inmates in our facility. And I thought, the topic is so abstract, and I want to bring in one of my challenges here. One of my main challenges is I'm actually writing an abstract research project that has to meet the standards and criteria of evidence-based work in a team of professionals, but at the same time, I'm wanting to communicate my story. I'm wanting to communicate the heart of why I'm doing this to a class of to my fellow classmates and to my professors. And I thought of a picture that I thought would be helpful. And here it is. And before I say that, I want to say that the topic of my research paper is going to be looking at the aspect of hope. And particularly the aspect of hope in two expressions, one as self-validity, the other one as woundedness. And I'm sure this may concern some of you. This may feel, oh, how can hope be woundedness? And it's so easy to look at hope as an entirely positive attribute and forget that hope is never without despair, that pain is never without comfort, and comfort without pain. We live in both all the time. It's easy to try to blot out the pain, blot out the wound, and just look for the positive attribute. And in the end, we undo the whole meaningful structure that grows out of us understanding the integration of both our self-validity as well as our personal woundedness as we've lived our lives. And in the end, hope without despair is illusory, and despair without hope is destructive. So they need each other, just like sodium chloride, the salt and the hydrochlorine need each other to give us a product that can be healing in our food as salt. So I thought, what picture would explain this dual aspect of hope? And I thought of this, and I drew it here. It's how we see ourselves, either as a glass half full or as a glass half empty. And what happens with the inmates who've been traumatized, and this is my experience, they all see themselves as the glass half empty. Now there's something in the glass, but it's so minimal. It's been so pushed at and in many instances hindered and affected by their situation. And this is a perception that causes many of them to want to commit suicide. And a lot of the way we see each other depends on the context we've been in, our lives, and who we've grown with, and our circumstances. We can't take it for granted that everyone will see themselves as the glass half full. And when we see ourselves as the glass half empty, that's when the woundedness overtakes the hope in us. When we see ourselves as the glass half full, that's when the hope remains in contact with the emptiness, because the glass half full is still half. It's the same glass, it's just the way we see each other and ourselves. And again, this is a huge topic, and I'm taking an abstract concept here and making it very simple. But if we see ourselves as the glass half full, where our hope is self-validity, walks in tandem with our own woundedness, the emptiness in our glass, doesn't overcome us. And what ends up happening is we don't realize it, because we're doing this all the time. Most of us who are carers see ourselves as glasses half full, so we actually are pouring ourselves out to help others. We think we have something to give, but those with this sort of attitude or view of themselves often don't think they have anything to give, and they forever want others to pour into them. So those who walk with them have to empty themselves, and there's no reciprocity going on, and mutual encouragement, mutual refreshment. So I'm just making a very complex idea very simple, but that's the sum total of what I'm going to explore in a very abstract way. And I'm going to use several things, the integration of approaches. And we've learned about, for example, the trans-theoretical model of behavior change, which some call the stages of change, which was founded by Prochaska and Di Clemente. But on that continuum, there are those who are pre-contemplative, then contemplative, then those who move in the preparatory stage, those who move into the action stage, then the maintenance stage. All these stages, and sometimes they can be intermingled, require different types of approaches. So my project wants to integrate the approaches, pay attention to the different stages that the inmates are in, so we don't try to impose stuff that is premature. For example, if you want to bring a structural model of CBT onto an inmate who's still struggling with his own, is still pre-contemplative, you're going to damage the journey. Rather come into that situation with a motivational interviewing approach. So this is the kind of things I want to talk about as we look at hope, at understanding the human in both as hope as self-validity, as well as hope as woundedness. So we accept, it's a movement to radical acceptance, but it's also a movement to respect with where the inmate is at, and learning to adapt different approaches, and listening to the different skills on our interprofessional team, allowing space for different people to do different things. So this is going to be the project. I don't actually know how I'm going to be able to do this. So this is going to be another challenge. How do I put this all together in a presentable form? Perhaps what I might have to do is do a twofold presentation to overcome this challenge. One is just do a 15-minute presentation to the class, and then at the same time load up the completed research paper on Moodle, so that anybody who wants to delve deeper into the abstract, they will have that. They will have that information available. Anyway, this is in some of the success that I'm experiencing in the integration, which I find I'm being encouraged by the IPT team. And secondly, some of the challenges I'm experiencing, in that it's so difficult to communicate abstract ideas in a simple way. Thirdly, in some of the solutions I'm proposing, by using different approaches on the trans-theoretical model of behavior change, making sure that, that the right approaches are used in the right context and the right stages of change. And lastly, what my next steps are, that somehow this work can be embraced by the interprofessional team, and that it can become something that will be accepted. And personally, right now, what my next steps will be is to make sure that I am able to communicate this message in a way that it can be understood and embraced, that I can communicate my passion for the inmate, for the inmate's recovery through this project. Thank you.
Okay, do you now want to proceed to the feedback section?
That would be nice. Thanks.
Okay, so I took quite a few notes on several of the points that you made. And I think it's, first of all, I think it's very inspiring that you would like to undertake such an important project that has such wide-ranging benefits to not only the population, the prison population at your prison, but it seems like it could be adopted by other facilities as well. And so I feel like the wide-ranging impacts of that are substantial. In terms of the challenges in presenting the idea in such a complex manner, when you presented it to myself, at least, I feel like I understood it. The idea of how our perceptions of the glass half full play into how we may give to others. How do you think that you'll be able to translate that into scientific terms for your team? Or is that how you'd like to present it to them as well?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would go back.
I'm just curious.
Glass, and they are the same glass. And if we see the inmate as glass half full, we see them as, we believe in them, we see them as worthy, we see them as capable, we see them with potential, we see the hope overflowing over the wound without excluding the wound, because the wound tells their story. It's part of their story. It's part of their validity, part of their legitimacy. But if we as a team see them as a glass half empty, then we want to fix them.
Right.
We immediately begin with a lack of respect, a lack of care to some extent. I was thinking of something that I wrote at the end of my paper. A thought came to me. It was almost like an afterthought. We can more easily bear our sorrows and woundedness with those who listen with respect. Why would they listen?
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. Why would they listen with respect? That's kind of what my paper wants to examine, wants to ensure that we remember the hope in them.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, part of me kind of feels skeptical around the idea, and this is probably just my lack of knowledge around the correctional system. But so do you feel like an increased, because you said there aren't enough beds for folks with addictions, and so they end up in jail, or they are in jail when they should be in hospitals. Do you think that more funding would resolve that issue, or?
Yeah, that's a big topic, and I would definitely say that.
Yeah.
I think some of the problems were mitigated by the Harris government in the mid-90s, where funding was pulled from many projects, and this might be before all of your time. But it was a very poor political decision, and we are now living in a government that favors the economic model. And unfortunately, the result is that we are criminalizing mental health. We are criminalizing homelessness. But that's, I can get pretty passionate about this. And on the extreme of my passion, I might start weeping, and I don't think that would be nice for this presentation. But when I look at those inmates, that's what I see.
Do you think that with the rollout of the wellness plan that we covered in, I believe it was case management in Sam's class, the roadmap to wellness, that we as a province are headed in the right direction.
Yes, good step.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's not just a little step,
Yeah.
minute little step. And we've also
Yeah.
spoke about the barriers.
Yeah.
The 4 barriers that that roadmap covers doesn't touch on the broad scope of the barriers that are actually taking place.
Mhm.
So it's a huge problem. But you know, again, I don't want to be looking at the glass half empty. Wouldn't that be quite ironic?
Right. On that note, go ahead and stop the recording if you'd like.
Uh, was there anything else that that you had? Approval
I
thing?
mean, I'm excited to read up on your paper. I just learned more about the correctional setting and the whole system in general to be able to provide you better feedback.
Yes.
But I am very interested in your paper, and I can't wait to read it.
Thanks, Tarik. Thank you for listening today. I'm now going to stop the recording. Is that good? Awesome.